Today's lesson is 1.6, factoring using the greatest common factor, GCF. So this is a couple example problems that I'll do and then leave the rest to you. Starting with question 1, we begin by looking at each coefficient and checking to see if they have any factors in common. In this case, -5, 3, and 10 do not have anything in common. And so then we look at our variables. So we have p's to various powers, and we know to look for the smallest exponent when we're factoring. So we'll factor out p to the 6th. And then we're dividing to put what's left into the parentheses. So -5 p to the 8th divided by p to the 6th, that's going to be -5 p squared. So recall with exponents, we just subtract those numbers when we're dividing. And then plus 3, because 3p to the 7th divided by p to the 6th, p to the 7th divided by p to the 6th, that's going to leave us with 1 p to the 1st. And then plus 10 p to the 6th divided by p to the 6th cancels out. Okay. So our final answer. Hello. Here you go. Number 2. If you want to stick around, I'm doing number 2. So we look at the lead coefficient, and -18, -12, and 20. Now, we can look at those and know that those are all even, so we know 2 goes into all of those. And we can check further to think about what are the factors of -18. So 6 and 3, we'll consider the negative sign at the end. And then 2 and 3, so these are our prime factors. With 12, we have 2 and 6, 2 and 3. And with 20, we have 10 and 2, 2 and 5. So when we look across, it looks like indeed 2 here, here, and here is the only one that all 3 have in common. So we can factor out a 2. And then we'll look at our variables. And it looks like our last term doesn't have a variable. So that means we're not going to be able to factor out any variables. So then we do -18 divided by 2, which is -9. And then m to the 8th minus, so -12 divided by 2, that's going to be our minus 6, m squared. And then 20 divided by 2 is 10. I think one of the most challenging pieces to this is going to be figuring out dividing by our variables. And so I'll do one more. Looking first at our coefficients, 4, 12, and 6. You might look at those and realize, okay, well, they're even. We know they have something in common. And 2 is turns out to be our GCF. And then looking at x to the 11th, 10th, and 9th, again, we can only factor out the smallest exponent, so that's going to be x to the 9th. And then we divide. So 4 divided by 2, that's 2. X to the 11th divided by x to the 9th. Again, we subtract exponents when we're dividing, so that's going to be x squared. 12 divided by 2 is 6. And we have x to the 10th divided by x to the 9th, so that leaves us with x to the 1st. And then 6 divided by 2, that's 3, and the x to the 9th divided by x to the 9th, that's just 1, so it cancels out. So our final answer here. And that's your lesson for 1.6.